So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shots. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's newspaper or important news items featuring in newspapers in a very short span of time within 20 minutes. Now, today we are going to be covering the newspaper of August 23, 2024. Okay, so here are the topics that are of extreme importance for civil services examination that we need to cover in this particular lecture. So, in total, we are going to be focusing on these 5 topics. Okay, these 5 topics that featured in today's newspaper are of extreme importance. Why? Why? Because these chances are that these topics or questions might be asked from these topics. Okay, now, first topic is India Poland strategic partnership. Recently, Prime Minister Modi went to Warsaw, the capital of Poland, and he finalized certain deals over there. And from Warsaw, he's going to go to Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Okay. Now, India-Poland strategic partnership, because in Warsaw, Prime Minister Modi and Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk, they actually finalized to upgrade India-Polish relationship or India-Poland relationship to strategic partnership. So we'll talk about this. Then, Prime Minister Narendra Modi went to Kiev today. Now, India's visit or Prime Minister Modi's visit to Kiev, to Ukraine, is of extreme strategic importance. Plus, it is also significant from the point of view of our relationship with Russia. Because a few weeks back, Prime Minister visited Moscow also. And Russia and Ukraine are currently engaged in a war. So India is trying to balance that relationship. And in that context, this relationship is important. So we'll look at this relationship in that context. Okay. Then, recently, Health Ministry banned 156 fixed dose combination drugs. Okay, so what are FDC's fixed dose combinations and why did Health Ministry ban them? We'll talk about this issue. Then recently, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal talked about predatory pricing by e-commerce companies and how these measures by e-commerce companies would destroy India's small shops, small retail shops. Okay, now there is a huge debate regarding the comments made by Commerce Minister. And he alleged that big e-commerce companies like Amazon are engaged in predatory pricing, which would destroy small shops, small retail shops in India. Now, whether this is true or not, we'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk again about MPox virus. Different variants of MPox virus are going around. So we have discussed MPox virus, monkeypox virus before. Today we are going to be focusing only on its different variants. Which variant is dangerous, which variant is easy. Okay, easy on our health. Okay, so we'll be focusing on these 5 topics. Let's start with topic number 1, which is India-Poland strategic partnership. Okay, so recently Modi met Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk in Warsaw, where both leaders upgraded their relationship to strategic partnership. So India and Poland are now strategic partners. Plus, various other agreements were also signed. One of the agreement was social security agreement between India and Poland. This would help migrant workers from India working in Poland or Polish workers working in India. Okay, so this social security agreement would basically help the migrant workers in each of the 2 countries. Okay, now because it's a little complex, so I'll explain to you what social security agreement is. Look, when a worker is working in India, if an Indian worker is working in India and he's employed in the formal sector, then he or she are entitled to certain social security benefits like employee provident fund, okay, pension, health insurance, etc. So these are the social security benefits given to our formal workers. Similarly, these social security benefits are given to Polish workers also. But what about Indian workers working in Poland? Now, if Indian workers are working in Poland, they are not entitled to Indian EPFO, Indian pension, Indian health insurance scheme. And because they are Indians working in Poland, so Polish government also doesn't give them provident fund facility, pension facility, health insurance facility. So they are stuck in between. Because they are not working in India, so Indian social security schemes they're not entitled for that. And because they are Indian citizens, they are not entitled for Polish social security schemes as well. Okay, so they actually lack or they do not get the benefit of social security net. All right, now India and Poland have come to negotiate a social security agreement under which Indian workers working in Poland would get social security benefits from Poland, and Polish workers working in India would get social security benefits from Indian schemes. Okay, so by this, formal workers working in each of the 2 countries would get social security benefits, but for that, they need to negotiate a legal framework where India's social security schemes and Polish social security schemes are in sync. So there needs to be a legal framework for this to happen, and India and Poland have actually negotiated a legal framework also. Now the question is, what do we mean by this word strategic partnership? Recently, India has negotiated a strategic partnership with Poland. Okay, but what is the meaning of the term? India has strategic partnerships with various countries, including USA, UK, France, Russia. But what is the meaning of the word strategic partnership? So let's talk about that. So the essence of strategic partnership lies in cooperation between the states that share common objectives. So if two countries share common objectives and they partner in and they actually cooperate to further those common objectives in a very close way, then it can be called a strategic partnership. Okay. Generally, strategic partnership is done between those two countries which have common security objectives. So security issues actually dominate the agenda in strategic partnership. So if two countries have similar security agenda, similar enemies, similar defense agenda, then they come under strategic partnership. But let me remind you, yes, security issues are the most dominant theme in strategic partnerships agenda. But strategic partnership also involves cooperation in trade, economy, technology, and so on. Now, this is important for you. First two points were, first 2 points actually define strategic partnership. But this is important because questions might be asked from this portion. Now, India has signed more than 30 strategic partnerships with various countries. So, they might ask you an MCQ related to this point. Consider the following statements. India has strategic partnerships with more than 30 countries in the world. So, whether this statement is true or false, you have to decide. Okay? So, remember this fact. India has strategic partnership with US, UK, Japan, France, China, European Union, and many more. Okay? Now let's straight away jump to Modi in Kyiv. Now, today itself, Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Kyiv, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi would actually hold talks with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Okay? Now, this visit from PM Modi to Ukraine is extremely significant. Why? Because Prime Minister Modi would be the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Ukraine after diplomatic relations between India and Ukraine were established in 1992. You see, because before 1992, Ukraine was part of USSR. So Ukraine did not have any independent identity. But once Ukraine was formed and diplomatic relationship between India and Ukraine were established in 1992, Prime Minister Modi became the first Prime Minister to visit Ukraine. Okay? And this visit is also significant from another perspective. You see, India is quite close to Russia. And right now, Russia and Ukraine are fighting a war. Now, recently, a few weeks back, Prime Minister Modi visited Moscow, met President Vladimir Putin. Now, many people, many in Europe and many Western allies of India, including USA, Canada, they were angry with India. Why? Because they thought that India is moving closer to Russia. Okay? And abandoning Ukraine, abandoning its Western allies, abandoning USA. So to prove them a point that India's relationship with Russia doesn't mean that India will not have a good relationship with Ukraine, doesn't mean India will not have a good relationship with Western countries. It doesn't mean that. To make that statement, Prime Minister Modi visited Kyiv. Okay? So this visit is important in that context to prove that our relationship with Russia does not mean that we are not going to engage with you, we cannot have friendly relations with you. Okay? Now look, India has good relationship with Russia. Plus, after Russia-Ukraine war, India became quite close to Russia as far as trade is concerned. India's trade with Russia increased manyfold after Russia-Ukraine war. And India's trade with Ukraine actually took a hit. So many people in the Western countries were alleging that India has taken sides in this war. India is not taking a balanced position. Many Western countries were alleging that India has clearly taken Russia's side. Because India is buying oil from Russia, India's trade with Russia increased after Russia-Ukraine war, plus India's trade with Ukraine took a hit. It declined from 3.39 billion to 0.71 billion. So to prove its Western allies, India said that no, we have de-hyphenated Russia-Ukraine in our foreign policy. Our relationship with Russia is independent of our relationship with Ukraine. Okay? Now, Ukraine is quite significant. Okay? First of all, you need to memorize this map also. That how many countries with how many countries Ukraine shares a border, because such types of questions are also asked. Okay, Ukraine shares a coastline with Black Sea. Its neighbors are Russia, Belarus, Poland, Romania. Okay, these geographical points, you need to remember these geographical things or geographical details, because such questions are asked, especially asked in prelims exam. All right, now why is Ukraine significant? You see, after the war is going to end one day or the other. It might not end today, but it will definitely end in the future. Someday, after all, it will end. After the war ends, post-war reconstruction of Ukraine would take place. Okay, because Ukraine's various Ukrainian cities have been destroyed because of the war. So Ukraine is quite destroyed right now because it's a war zone. So many cities are destroyed. So after the war, Ukraine would definitely take up post-war reconstruction, and Ukraine would invite various companies from different countries to invest in Ukraine to redevelop Ukraine. Right now, India can take this opportunity. India can, after Ukraine ends its war with Russia and takes up post-war reconstruction of Ukraine, India might partner with Ukraine to develop different infrastructure in Ukraine. Okay, so this is, I mean, post-war reconstruction opportunities would come up, and India should grab them. Plus, Ukraine is also important from the point of view of defense industry. India and Ukraine can cooperate in terms of defense industrial cooperation, because after Western support, Ukraine has a lot of Western weapons or weaponry. So India can basically cooperate with Ukraine in that area also, though India has a strong relationship with Russia in terms of defense cooperation. Plus, Ukraine is an agrarian power. Ukraine exports a lot of wheat. Ukraine exports a lot of vegetable oil, edible oils, and India is one of the largest importers of edible oil. In fact, before the war, sunflower oil was imported from Ukraine. Ukraine was amongst the biggest sources of sunflower oil for India. So after the war, agrarian or agricultural cooperation between the two countries can also take place. Okay. Now, engagement with Warsaw and Kiev. Why is this significant? In a single visit, Prime Minister Modi visited Poland and Ukraine. Now, why are these two countries significant? Look, for many years after independence, India did not engage much with Europe. Plus, India's engagement with Europe only focused on the big four: Russia, Germany, France, and Britain. So, in terms of India's engagement with Europe, India only focused on these four European countries. That this was Europe for India. Okay, but Modi's visit to Ukraine and Poland changes that. Now India is showing that India is ready to engage with smaller countries of Europe also. Okay, so this is part of India's big Europe push. Plus, India also wants to become a Vishwa Bandhu. Vishwa Bandhu means India has close relationship with all the countries. India is Bandhu means friend. Vishwa means world. So, to make India or enhance India's image as Vishwa Bandhu, India's visit to, or Modi's visit to Ukraine and Poland holds significance. All right, that's the point. Okay, now let's move on to third news item, which is 156 fixed dose combinations banned. Okay, so let's take a look at the news first, and then we'll talk about what FDCs are. So, Union Health Ministry has banned 156 irrational fixed dose combinations medicines with immediate effect. Now, the notification stated that an expert committee had found no therapeutic justification, that these medicines had no health benefits for people. Plus, some of these medicines were risky to patients also. So, keeping that in mind, these medicines have been banned. Now, this is the biggest crackdown since 2016, because in 2016, Health Ministry actually banned 344 fixed dose combinations. All right. So after 2016, this has been the biggest step to ban fixed dose combination drugs. Now look, what are fixed dose combinations? Okay, this image explains it all. I'll explain it to you. Look, let's suppose you have a bacterial infection. Okay, now because of that bacterial infection, you are also suffering from fever. Okay, so to cure this infection, you need antibiotics. Antibiotics actually kill bacteria. But to lower down your fever, you also need paracetamol, right? So you will be taking two medicines, one antibiotic, one paracetamol. What if a medicine manufacturer, a pharmaceutical company, creates a capsule which has antibiotics also and paracetamol also. So instead of taking two medicines, you take just one capsule which contains both antibiotics and paracetamol. Such medicines are called fixed dose combinations because they are a combination of different drugs. Okay, make sense? So yeah, these are combinations of two or more active drugs in the single dosage. Thus, FDCs have more than one active ingredient. So in the example before, there were two active ingredients. One ingredient was paracetamol, which cures fever. The other ingredient is antibiotic, right? So these are known as active ingredients, and a combination of active ingredient makes a fixed dose combination. Now, the benefit of fixed dose combinations are it helps patients with illnesses such as tuberculosis and diabetes to consume fewer pills. You don't need to consume multiple medicines. All these medicines are combined into one or two, and you have to just take that medicine. Okay, so this is a big benefit. But what is the big disadvantage? Look, some FDCs are very rational. Okay, quite rational. But some FDCs are quite irrational. Like, I'll give you an example again. Let's suppose I create a fixed dose combination which contains paracetamol, antibiotic, and an antiviral. Okay. Now, you can either have a bacterial infection or a viral infection. Now, if you're taking this medicine, let's suppose you have a bacterial infection. So, if you're taking this medicine, then you need paracetamol, you need antibiotic, but you do not need antiviral. But yet, because these three things are combined into one capsule and you're taking this capsule, you are by default also ingesting antivirals, which is not needed by your body, right? Similarly, you have a viral infection. Then you need paracetamol and antivirals, but you do not need antibiotics. So, this ingredient is getting wasted in your body or causing harm in your body. Okay? And similarly, some fixed dose combinations have other ingredients as well, which are not needed at all, but yet they are being added. Now, this creates a disadvantage. Why? For a very simple reason. Sometimes they end up delivering ingredients that patients do not need. And that is precisely what the health ministry has said, that these 156 FDCs have no health benefit, therapeutic benefit. Plus, it contains certain ingredients which are harmful to the patients. So, we need to ban them. All right? That's about it. Okay. Now let's come to this issue which has been quite controversial: predatory pricing by e-commerce. Recently, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal raised the issue of predatory pricing by e-commerce platforms such as Amazon and the possibility of social disruption impacting millions of small retailers across the country. Now, what is predatory pricing? It's basically simple. Predatory pricing is when a big company, big firm, actually deliberately lowers the prices of its products. Let's suppose I have a pen manufacturing company, and in general, pens cost 10 rupees. The cost of a pen is 10 rupees everywhere. Okay, but what I do is I have deep pockets. I have a lot of money, so I deliberately reduce the price of my pen to rupees 5, and I'm not earning much profit because of this. But why am I doing this? I am doing this so that customers do not buy pens which are worth 10 rupees from other companies, and all of them flock to my company and buy my 5 rupee pen. By doing this, these small companies get eliminated. They will go out of business. They will have reduced profits. They will go out of business. And then when all of them are out of business and I'm the only monopoly, then I'm the only show in the town. I'm the only person from whom you can buy pens. Then I will increase the price to 15 also. And you are forced to buy that pen from me because I'm the only one selling that pen. Right? Now, this is known as predatory pricing. Pricing of goods or services at such a low level that other firms cannot compete and are forced to leave the market. Some people allege that Jio initially did that. Look, there were two big companies for telecom, Vodafone and Airtel. But when Jio came, Jio actually reduced the prices of its telecom services to such an extent that others had to follow or they had to go out of business. Right? So this is known as predatory pricing. And Commerce Minister is saying that e-commerce companies, big e-commerce companies like Amazon and Shopify and other companies, these are providing deep discounts. And because of that, customers are buying goods from Amazon and they are not buying goods from local shops because local shops cannot provide such heavy discounts. And because of that, local shops are getting eliminated. They are getting out of business. Because of that, millions of people employed in these local shops are also losing their jobs. Okay, this is what Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has said. Okay, so predatory pricing has these problems. It lowers competition, it creates market monopoly, which is eventually harmful for the customers. Initially, customers might enjoy it. Customers would say that yes, we are getting 5 rupee pens. So initially, in short term, customers enjoy it. But in the longer term, when this 5 rupee pen company eliminates everyone, then it can increase the price to even 20 rupees. And then consumers have less choice because they have less pen manufacturing companies. So it is basically an unfair practice that destroys level playing field in the market. Okay. Now, many people agree with Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and they say that Amazon is guilty of this. And he's right. But many people do not agree with Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. They say that Amazon is not bad over here. In fact, Amazon has created many jobs. There was this report by Pehle India Foundation, which says that e-commerce is indeed growing in India. Okay, and in 2022, it comprised 7.8% of total retail sales. Now, the main point that Pehle India Foundation has said that 1.76 million retail shops take part in e-commerce activity in India. So Piyush Goyal ji is saying that these companies, e-commerce companies, are putting small shops out of business. But this foundation's report says that these small shops are actually growing because of Amazon, because these small shops are also selling their products on Amazon. Earlier, they were able to sell their products to local people, but now they can sell their products pan India because of Amazon. So, in fact, 1.76 million small shops have benefited from Amazon. They're not getting out of business, they're actually increasing their business. Plus, it has generated 15.8 million jobs. So, it is wrong to, Pehle India Foundation says that it is wrong to actually blame Amazon for this. In fact, Amazon has helped these small shops. Okay. Plus, Amazon has allowed consumers to have more choice because earlier they could only buy stuff from their local shop, but now they can buy stuff from all over India. So consumers have more choice. So Amazon is actually beneficial for India and its social or economic structure. Okay, so these are the two sides. Commerce Minister is saying something. Pehle India Foundation is saying Pehle India Foundation is saying completely the opposite thing. All right. Okay. And now let's come to our last topic, which is variants of MPox virus, monkeypox virus. Basically, monkeypox virus is known as MPox. Now, we have discussed monkeypox virus in detail in our previous lectures, so I'm not going to get into what is monkeypox virus, how does it spread, and all that stuff because we have already discussed it. I am going to be discussing the different variants of monkeypox virus. So yes, monkeypox virus was first recorded in 1970, first human case in Democratic Republic of Congo. It is a zoonotic disease. We have discussed that. That means this disease has jumped from animals to humans. And in 2022, it spread widely in the world. Okay? But we are going to be focusing on just two things. Look, monkeypox virus has two major variants, though there are subvariants also, but it has two major variants. One is called Clade 1, the other is called Clade 2. So Clade 1 is the variant which causes severe illness and death. Some outbreaks have killed 10% of the people who get sick, although more recent outbreaks have had lower death rates. Clade 1 is endemic to Central Africa. Okay, so Clade 1 virus is more dangerous one. It causes more deaths and it is endemic to Central Africa. Central Africa would mean these countries: Gabon, Republic of Congo, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Cameroon. Okay, half of Cameroon. So this is Central Africa. So Clade 1, dangerous virus, monkeypox virus is here. Okay. The other is Clade 2 virus. Now, it is a type of virus that caused the global outbreak in 2022. So the cases of monkeypox virus in 2022 were Clade 2. And the thing is, it is not that dangerous. Its symptoms are less severe, and more than 99.9% of the people survive. And Clade 2 is endemic to Western Africa. So, Clade 2 is found in Western African countries: Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, half of Cameroon. Okay, so remember, these are the two major variants of monkeypox virus. Yes, of course, they have subvariants also, like there is 1B, okay, 2A. There are subvariants also, but you need to remember just Clade 1 and Clade 2. Okay, and with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it added value to your preparation, though it would add more value if you are consistent and regular with this lecture series. So in the hope that you are going to be consistent and regular with this lecture series, I'll see you tomorrow with August 24's current affairs. Thank you, everyone.